listeners. This is Adventures in Equality, a podcast that fights for full equality, no matter a person's gender, race, religion, or social class. This episode will focus on gender inequality in politics and includes an interview with an empowering woman blazing a trail for women in California government. Stay tuned for her stance on all things equality and for some great advice to all you women out there. Today, our goal is to encourage young women who are interested in running for a public office. In the United States, women have been fighting for equal rights for over 200 years. Women in the 21st century should finally have the same opportunities as men, but this is not the case, especially in politics. Women frequently find themselves hitting a glass ceiling that they cannot rise above, which is one of many adversities that men do not face. Congress is dominated by men, with only 20% of U.S. senators and representatives being women. In my home state of California, just 2 of the 10 largest cities have female mayors. Today, I'm so lucky to have the opportunity to interview former Mayor of Fresno, Mrs. Ashley Swearengin. Are you ready for the first question?
Yeah, you bet. Go right ahead.
Have you personally faced any barriers or setbacks because you were a woman running for public office?
No, it never was really clear to me that there were those boundaries. So I think when I ran for the first time in 2008, I think our community was really open to female mayors. We'd had a female mayor in Karen Humphrey in a couple decades prior. And I got a little bit of feedback from constituents who were concerned about whether or not I was making the right decision to run for mayor because I had a young family. And those are questions that I'm not sure would be asked to young male candidates like they were of me.
That's very true.
It was really a very small number of people, and for the most part, I think people in Fresno have gotten over that barrier when you consider, especially, we have a female sheriff, we have a female district attorney. At the time, 2 of our 5 county supervisors were female, and the mayor of Clovis was female. So our landscape was actually pretty well populated with female elected officials in Fresno County.
That's so awesome. So it sounds like you haven't had much negative feedback because you were a woman running for the office of mayor, but would you say that you have seen discrimination towards women campaigning for or serving in office?
Well, for sure. There are, as the statistics you cited, I see all the time. I used to be active in the U.S. Conference of Mayors and would travel, 2 or 3 times a year to be with colleague mayors from, a couple hundred of the largest cities, as well as a number of small communities in our country. And it was always the case that there were maybe 20 or 25% of us were female, and the rest were male. So clearly, our elected ranks don't yet represent the gender balance that we see in our country, and I think that's in part because women. I don't know if it's that they're not interested in being an elected office, A, or B. Those numbers just seem overwhelming, and they don't think they could actually run and win and be successful in the role because they've just not seen it modeled very much, or probably some combination of those 2 things. I think women characteristically are kind of get it done personalities. We don't like to. We don't like filibustering. We don't like kind of just being blustery. We like to get in and work and see the outcomes and the fruits of our labor. And I think that sort of politics in America historically have had personality types that seem more like, boy, they're just talking and not really working. And I don't know that women are drawn to those sorts of roles as much. And so I think the more we can model as female elected, we can model that the public actually does expect and want their elected officials to stay focused, to work really hard, to execute well, and to get outcomes for their constituents. The more the public really demands that from its elected, I think we'll see more and more females wanting to step into these roles.
That would be a great change to see. Would you agree that this issue is an injustice? Why or why not?
So I don't know. It kind of depends on how you want to define injustice. And I don't know, to be honest, I don't know how much value there is in labeling it as an injustice. It is what it is. And I think what we have to do, particularly females who have held elected office, we have to make sure that that women know if they're interested in being in elected office, that there ought to be no reason why they shouldn't pursue it. And just start calling out if there's any sort of subtle or even overt cultural bias that keeps women on the sidelines. You know, there's a lot we can do to make sure they know, hey, there's plenty of opportunity to be an effective woman elected official, and don't let anything get in your way. So I think we just have to spend time making sure people know that those barriers really aren't there anymore. And I think the more kind of a catch-22. The barriers likely still are there at some level, but the more we focus on the barriers, the less time we spend actually just encouraging women to run and clearing those barriers and those hurdles. So I think most of our time and energy should just spend on moving forward and supporting women and exploring, you know, what it's like to campaign, what it's like to hold public office, and really just focus there. Because I think, frankly, at this point, the public is very, very open to it. I think sometimes we personally kind of hold ourselves back at times.
That's such an awesome standpoint. You touched on this subject a little bit already, but what are some things we can do to combat the issue? Rather than focusing on the barriers, how can we help young women feel empowered and unafraid to pursue a career in politics?
I mean, my advice to people who are exploring their career options, who are young or who are earlier in their careers, my advice is always to just pursue and throw yourself into the things you love and the things you're good at, and you know, no matter what field it may be. And certainly, I would apply that to government and elected office and to politics. You know, I think there's a couple of things that draw people into elected office. Sometimes it's an interest in the law. Sometimes it's an interest in a particular issue. Sometimes it's just a real love for community or people, and just wanting to work closely with people and sort of facilitate public decision making. But whatever it is, you know, just pursue what you love and pursue what you're good at. There's a reason why you love it and the reason why you're good at it. So really just even if you perceive barriers, ignore them, because the best way to clear those barriers is to just move forward and not let those things stop you or get in your way.
Wow, that's really amazing advice. I just have one more question for you today. Some of my research has revealed that Los Angeles and San Francisco, both huge, very liberal cities in California, have each only had one woman mayor. You mentioned earlier that people in Fresno were quite supportive of you running for mayor. What is your stance on where the Central Valley lies in terms of gender equality in politics?
Good question. Our community in Fresno County has certainly demonstrated, that it will vote for, elect, and support women leaders. I mean, to be, an elected female leader in law enforcement, which there are all kinds of barriers that remain in the law enforcement profession against women. We have a female sheriff and a female DA. Again, it's our second female DA. I think that's really remarkable to me.
It really
Absolutely
is.
Remarkable. So I'd be hesitant to say, boy, we're really past that issue in Fresno, because I think it's always possible that, you could slide backwards.
Yeah.
But honestly, when I look at the landscape of young leaders in this community who are engaging themselves, whether it's in the Downtown Academy or Fresno's Leading Young Professionals or any one of a dozen or more neighborhood-level community and civic organizations that are really working to engage the next generation of leaders. We've got, the Leadership Institute literally has, hundreds and hundreds of kids across Fresno County who are taking extra time out of their busy weeks to, get leadership training, to be involved in the community. We've got the No Media, which is a youth-run journalism program. I actually think the future of Fresno looks pretty bright from a young and different sorts of people being involved in their community. And certainly women are a part of that, but I would also include kids of color who maybe have not seen it modeled often enough what it looks like for people from diverse backgrounds to actually emerge and become leaders of their communities, their schools, their neighborhoods, their cities. All of that is changing with this next generation. It's really clear to me, and I'm grateful for that. So, I don't know. I guess I would just leave it at that. When I think about 10 years from now, where will we be with elected leaders, I think we're doing the work today to make sure that group of leaders 10 years from now is really reflective of the place where we live, from a gender as well as an ethnicity and a socioeconomic background.
Thank you so much. It's been such an honor to be able to interview you today.
Oh, my pleasure. Good luck to you.
I consider myself lucky to have grown up with a woman mayor in office, setting an example for thousands of young women in Fresno. The majority of the U.S. does not have this opportunity, and girls often grow up with no strong female role model in a political position. As diverse Americans of all religions, ethnicities, and genders, we have the power to inspire young women to pursue dreams that have not yet been achieved. Your sister, niece, cousin, or daughter could be the first female president of the United States of America. And to all you women listening, you have the power and the intelligence to achieve anything you set your mind to. Right now, there is a glass ceiling looming above us that has not yet been broken. But in a few years, months, days, we can rise up and see a world where women are not discriminated against for being politicians, and where the gender imbalance in politics is corrected. The only way we can achieve this future is by spreading an awareness of this injustice and sharing hope for young women's futures in politics. As Hillary Clinton, the first female presidential nominee from a major party, eloquently stated in her concession speech, "We have still not shattered that highest, hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will." To all the little girls who are watching this, never doubt that you are valuable and powerful and deserving of every chance and opportunity in the world to pursue and achieve your own dreams. Thank you all for listening. Tune in next time to another episode of Adventures in Equality.